Sox in the basement.
I'm the Sox nerd with this week's White Sox Stumper. Who led the White Sox with 95 victories during the 1980s? I'll have the answer at the end of my spiel later in the podcast.
Right before the show, I see on X or Twitter, whatever you call it, a poll by Waddle and Sylvie today. They need to know whether or not Cub fans are ready to move on from Craig Counsell. Should they fire Craig Counsell on the north side? And I thought the most apt response, because I felt like I needed to put something into the comments, was that I put a picture of the American League Central standings in there as my reply to that one.
Wow, I mean, that says a lot.
Listen, you want to find something funny? Go on that app and just use the keyword White Sox. And if you want to, maybe throw Cleveland in there as well. You don't have to, though, because all you got to do is sort through the comments. And that fan base, they are morose. They are in shock. They are worried. They are writing things like, this was our division to run away with. What the hell is happening here? The White Sox are in first place as we sit here. I don't know if they will be alone in first place by the time this episode comes out. I don't know what the result is of their third game against the best team in Major League Baseball as that series starts.
They took a series from the best team in Major League Baseball, no matter what happens tonight.
Yeah, they either took 2 out of 3 by the time you're listening to this on any podcast player or watching it on the YouTube channel, or they swept them. And either way, you brought up your big prospect, the guy that I couldn't wait to see in Braden Montgomery. And all he did in his first 2 games was go 4 for 9 with 2 doubles, 3 RBIs, and a walk-off home run in his debut, down 1 with 2 outs. And Bob Costas on the call against one of the best closers in the game. That's insane.
I mean, you can't ask for a better start to his career. You know, I mean, what is he? He basically accounts for the key offense in the game 2 against Chris Sale, because he starts that inning off with a double off of him. You know, somebody tell the kid he's not supposed to double off of Chris Sale, right?
Don't tell him anything. That's the thing I love about this. Is what I love about this team. And they talked about it in the pregame. And I think they talked about it a little bit in the postgame. And they've done it before. Chuck and Ozzie have talked about it. What is the reason for these guys getting up here and being ready to play? Brooke Fletcher did an interview, and the players were explaining it. They're down in AAA, and they're getting the exact same scouting report in the exact same format, where it looks exactly the same way. Everything they do, from their travel to their daily preparation to their schedule. This is how long we're going to hit for. This is how long we're going to field for. This is what we do on this day. Is exactly the same in AAA as it is the majors. So when they get here, they don't have to go, what's this? What is this report? I've never seen this before. It's been presented in a different way. The consistency added is the kind of thing that I used to yell about as a kid, as a teenager, as a young adult, when I was doing broadcast radio, my entire life. Why don't we have a White Sox way? Like, remember in the 90s and the early 2000s, the Twins had a system. They used to talk about that. And as White Sox fans, you go, why can't we do that? Well, that's because Kenny Williams just look at a guy.
Look at a guy.
Just tell he's going to be great. I don't know why he didn't win more championships, because he could just look at a guy and don't worry, we'll just throw him into the fire. This team's doing things the right way. That's what's amazing, Ed.
Kenny never said what they were going to be great at. You know, that was always the problem. But it is. There's a way. There is a way about these guys. You can tell they come up here. They're very much ready. They're not scared of the major leagues. And Braden Montgomery, all he has to do is just go up there against Chris Sale, against Raisel Iglesias, and look for something to drive. The moment's not too big for him, because he's been preparing for this.
He took a slider. In his second game, he takes a slider in a game where Sale is dealing, that's diving out of the zone, and turns on it and puts it down the line into the corner. And that guy is a professional. I want to talk more about him real quick, though.
Oh, yeah.
Switch to a new age of life with Hyatt Home Medical Equipment, our proud sponsors. Look, if you got mom and dad, grandma and grandpa, You don't want to go into assisted living. They don't want to leave their home. Get over there. The lift chairs they have. I was over there recently talking with them. You design these any way you want. You get any color leather or cloth. You can actually get it to match up with your current furniture. So now all of a sudden you have a chair that's like brilliant. A lazy boy that leans back, that massages their back, that does all the cool stuff, but it also lifts them up so they don't hurt themselves and their knees aren't getting worse for them, right? Stair lifts, ramps, grab bars, lift chairs, bathroom remodeling, working with your insurance, 0% financing for qualified individuals. Doctor says you need a CPAP machine. That doctor has a relationship with some medical service provider. But you can say as a patient, no, I want to pick mine. I'm going to Hyatt. So just tell them that and check out everything they have going on at hhme.com. Braden Montgomery carries the biggest bat. Have you noticed that about him? Like I was sitting there, game one kind of jumped up on me. Game two, I'm paying a lot of attention to him. And he's up at the plate with a piece of lumber. That may be one of the biggest bats in Major League Baseball. Me eyeballing it, he's carrying an Aaron Judge type bat, and he's built. Like I watched Mark DeRosa on MLB Network, where, by the way, the White Sox are getting so much play. There are several segments that have come out over the last couple days. Major League Baseball has finally caught up to the fact this is a really good team. And it's really funny, with the exception of maybe like a bitter ex-general manager who couldn't do this. Everybody else is like, this front office is incredible. There's a reason that guy is behind a desk and not a general manager, so I don't really care what he says about the front office. Everybody else is like, this front office is incredible. You got Tristan Peters for cash considerations, sitting about 300 right now and playing some of the best defense you're going to see in the outfield.
Yeah, he's one of the top center fielders around.
Right. And you got him for cash. First of all, Chris Getz, I think he's a shoo-in for executive of the year. Will Venable, if he could just figure out how to stop bunting into the first out of the inning. You got a guy on third and you pop foul or you pop up a bunt directly into a charging third baseman or first baseman at least 3 times a week. Can we stop doing that?
Yeah, even Bob Costas, who by his own admission isn't paying attention to the game, is laughing at how often the bunt isn't working, and maybe you should stop doing it, Will.
I think that hurt me the most during the 80s show. The realization that he wasn't there because they were good. He was there because it was a marketing stunt because the team expected the team to be so bad. And for that stretch against the best in Major League Baseball, for them to just be loss after loss after loss, because they've gotten used to it over the last couple of years, that they brought in Bob to do the 80s nostalgia thing. And he wasn't there because they're great. They looked at the schedule and White Sox marketing was like, we got to find some reason for him to tune in because this team's going to be trash by then. They're going to be in the middle of a losing streak by then. This snuck up on them too.
That's why the ads for the Brave series, which are done way in advance, right? A lot of the ad campaigns are done way in advance, are all about Chris Sale coming back, as though we haven't faced Chris Sale since the trade in 2016. Yeah. It was 10 years ago.
And by the way, Davis Martin.
He's been off the Sox for 10 years. Davis
Martin was the better pitcher. Davis Martin had 6 innings. Davis Martin had a quality start. Davis Martin didn't give up any runs. Davis Martin struck out 2 and went 1-2-3 in the first inning and in his last inning, which was the 6th. Chris Sale didn't make it to 6. Davis Martin. And it was really funny because my daughter's sitting on the couch. I've got the game on. I'm making dinner, watching it from the kitchen. And she's like, what's going to happen in this game? I said, sweetheart, I want them to win this game so bad because you got Martin on the mound. But man, you're running into Chris Sale and he's so good. Martin had a bad last game. I'm glad he's home because the numbers are better for the pitchers at home. But it's really hard for me to say we have the advantage in this game. We got Edgar Caro hitting under 200 in the 4 spot, which I still don't understand.
I didn't get that.
I get this righty-lefty thing, and he's doing a really good job managing. Don't get me wrong. He is finding a way to get young kids to believe in themselves. They show up, and they just don't think they're the worst team. They think they're the best team on the field every time they go out there. They are not afraid of the Dodgers this weekend. They're just going out there to prove themselves. No matter what ends up happening, that's how they are as a team, which is glorious to see. Okay? But I don't care about your righty-lefty matchup. If that guy ends up hitting 200 this year, it's going to be a miracle. When Kyle Teal comes back, this team becomes not only better, but you better not be using a platoon with him because that guy's good and he's at a better level and a higher level than Caro. And your lineup's going to become even more dangerous. and yet you're batting him fourth. I saw Braden Montgomery coming up fifth with that ginormous bat that I almost got to the point where I got sidetracked. Mark DeRosa's on MLB Network, and he's breaking down his swing, and he actually has to pause the camera to go, wow, look at those quads. Like, that guy is a beast.
Yeah.
Like, on live television, DeRosa's like, anybody. Hold on a second, look at those guys' quads.
Look at those guys' quads. I mean, you don't see that on MLB Network. They don't pause the film just to admire the ripple through the pants there.
Whoever's off camera, it can be her going, wow. Like, there's two grown men admiring the physique of Braden Montgomery. And he's carrying his giant bat. I mean, this guy's a beast. I know it's only been a couple of games. There's a lot for him to learn. Pitchers are going to make adjustments to him. He's going to have to adjust back. I think he's the truth. I thought he was the best thing in that trade. And I'm really excited he's up here. And what a way to hit the ground running. But I mean, look,
oh man.
I mean, just take a step back and look at what they're doing right now. They promoted 12 guys for their first appearance in the majors. Their outfield's all rookies. Their first baseman, yeah, he's technically a rookie. I know he's over in Japan. He's injured right now. Rookie, but the guy that comes up to replace him is hitting over 300. And he's going to stick.
Out of position.
He's going to stick. Murakami may come back and be the DH, and Gonzalez is going to stand over there playing, because Gonzalez can make some defensive plays over there. He's playing at like a shortstop. And he's tall enough, and he's able to stretch enough, and he's making some good picks over there. Like, Murakami may be the DH when he comes back, and that'll be fine. Jacob Gonzalez, I don't think, has to worry about his job. Andrew Benintendi has to worry about his.
Yeah, the only thing that saves a guy like Andrew Benintendi right now is the fact that Colson Montgomery doesn't play tonight. I imagine he's going on the IL with that back problem.
Well, you know, I heard the stupidest thing the other day. Some guy on the postgame show was like, all these guys with their tweaks and their back issues, get out there and play. We need you. These are big games. You know what? He played with an injured back for 2 weeks. In fact, it gave me hope that the fall off over the last couple of weeks was because of injury and not actually because he was struggling at the plate. No, it turns out he was hurt. He got to a point where he was at home and supposedly it was affecting his home life and he wasn't moving around well. And then he finally stopped hiding the injury, which they have to talk to him about. You can't do that. You can't hide an injury for 2 weeks when you're hitting the middle of the order or any time. But if you're an important thing, you don't want to make that worse. So hopefully they sat down and they had a conversation with him. But do I fault him for saying I'm hurt? No, I don't fault him for saying I'm hurt. And they've got so many guys with next man up. I think they're going to be fine. For exterior windows, doors, patio doors, and storm doors, look no further than Window and Door Superstore of Oak Forest. No high pressure sales. They are not in your kitchen, your bedroom, your bathroom, standing on your roof, whatever they do. These salesmen, they come over and they just pressure you. They tell you like, oh, if you don't buy these windows right now, I can't get you this deal. Trust me, they can get the deal. They probably got a better deal than what they're telling you is the deal. You're going to get the real deal directly from an owner in showroom at Window and Door Superstore of Oak Forest. Then the owner's going to show up with his own installers because they don't farm out the work and they're going to make sure it's done right. They've been doing it that way since 1985 in Oak Forest with all major brands, custom made, no stock items for a perfect fit. Window and Door Superstore of Oak Forest is a half block east of 159th and Ridgeland at 6280 159th Street. See more at windowdooroakforest.com. But yeah, I'm telling you right now, there's so many things to get excited about. But I'm looking out here and I'm seeing all these rookies and I'm seeing them all show up. I think that's the thing that has me believing this team could win this division. I can't believe I'm saying that out loud. This team could win this division.
We would not have said this 2 months ago.
They're the only team with a plus run differential in the American League Central. They're plus 10. Everybody, including the Guardians, have a negative run differential right now here as we get close to the midway point of June. Not only are they up as we record a half game, and again, I don't know what the results are going to be on Thursday night as you sit down, but it doesn't really change this show. It's not going to change my feelings one way or another. Okay? But as of the time we sit down, they're 2 up in the loss column over the Guardians. They're 7 up in the loss column over the Twins, who are 7 under 500. They're 9 over in the loss column over the Tigers and the Royals, who are done. They have a positive run differential. At home, they're 22 and 11. The Guardians are 17 and 17. We talked about that in the last show. The White Sox are a scary place to go and play at Wright Field right now for other teams. The swagger they have in front of their fan base is absolutely insane right now. They're young. My father and I had a conversation the other day. He was like, I've seen this before. This reminds me of the Southside Hitmen. This reminds me a little bit about like getting out fast and being big. And that was a year that Bill Veeck went out and just spent some money on a bunch of one-year contracts. And then they needed to go get something and they didn't have the money because he didn't have the money. And it's a long 162 games. He's like, I'm excited. I'm loving this. Let's see what they do here. But man, this is a very winnable division. I cannot believe we're talking about this. I told you before. I told you at the beginning of the year, if we end up 10 games under 500, I was excited.
Yeah, and it's amazing how these things change. But like you said, 12 guys come up to make their major league debut. All of them because Chris Getz, when he first took over, one of the first things he did was clean house in the front office and create a White Sox way. Bring in Brian Bannister to create a pitching philosophy. Bring in Will Fuller to bring Ryan Fuller rather to bring to have a hitting philosophy. To basically make sure that as guys are going through the minors, they're ready to come up to the majors and contribute right away. And this team doesn't do that. It doesn't do what they're doing now. And if they don't do that major changeover and how they do these things, we're watching a bunch of rookies flail at this point, right? Because who are the veterans on this team? Miguel Vargas, who's a redemption, right? This is the Miguel Vargas redemption tour, and he's doing a great job of it.
He should be the starting third baseman in the All-Star game.
For the first time in 100 years?
Another thing, I'm in a coma.
Since the first White Sox game?
Am I in a coma? Did I die?
No, you're not. I don't think so.
I can't believe I just said that out loud. Could you imagine a year ago me saying Miguel Vargas should be the starting third baseman in an All-Star game?
No, but you look at his numbers, and even when you look at his numbers just in a vacuum, you're like, well, they're not great. But when you look at where he stands against other third basemen in the American League, and you realize that this is as good as it gets, then that's a wonderful thing. And the fact is that last year when he got done making mechanical changes, this coaching staff has done a good job of getting these guys ready to go. Colson Montgomery did not need mechanical changes again this year. He just, he needed to make sure that he was in the right headspace. Okay. And that's what they've done. They have made sure that guys are mentally prepared, mentally ready to go in games. And that includes these rookies because, Sam Antonacci can come up and just be a pest if he doesn't have to worry about adjusting to it. Murakami comes over from Japan, right? The White Sox did a very good job of adjusting him to life in the major leagues. All these guys that have come up, they all have not fallen off of where they were in AAA, and they've all contributed right away. And when they've had some success, it's gotten contagious because that's the way this team is built. So yeah, there's magic wands in the dugout. There's some fun going on here. There's pitchers that are pushing each other. And there's still questions about this team. They got to do better on the road. And you sit there and you hope that their home record isn't because they get the last at bat and these guys can slug with anybody. But there's no way in mid-June, if you would have told me back when spring training was going and we're wondering who the outfielder is going to be. And we're wondering, are any of these rookies going to be any good? Is Murakami going to be as bad as everybody said he was going to be? Who's going to be on the pitching staff? When we're wondering all these questions, for us to be sitting here in the middle of June, talking about the first place White Sox, talking about now how our expectations of the rest of the season have changed. Now they're competing, and they're competing right now without their two biggest bats because Montgomery has been playing hurt and is now hurt, and Murakami is hurt. Imagine this team coming, to your hometown, or imagine you come into the White Sox, even worse, coming to Chicago, coming to the South Side, when you have to face a lineup that also includes Kyle Teal, that also includes Murakami, that also includes Colson Montgomery, and now Braden Montgomery. And you have guys like Tristan Peters and Sam Antonacci and Chase Mydroth filling in the corners, and you have arguably the best third baseman in the American League right now.
Randall Grichuk, reborn.
Yeah, because, Randall Grichuk comes in here, and first of all, he's got a coaching staff that puts him in a position to succeed. He's around a bunch of young guys that are just sitting there going, hey, we're just having fun playing baseball, and it's working. So what is, Grichuk doesn't have to sit there and be like, I got to save the Yankees from themselves, or, I've got to perform to a certain level. He can just go there, and if he gets broken bat singles off of left-handed starters, that's what we want him to do. He pops a ball out of the ballpark occasionally against a lefty. That's what we want him to do. There's really nothing that, if he falls flat on his face, At least there's Luis Angel Acuna behind him.
And he's even figuring it out.
Even he's figuring it out too. And that's the thing is there's a lot of these guys are ready to go. They're ready to figure it out. They're clearly ready to play baseball on a night in and night out basis. And there's talent. There's real talent up and down the lineup that they're not household names. No, because they're all new, but people are going to find out real quick. And especially when this lineup's at full power, what exactly the White Sox team could be all about. And yeah, if we're not talking about them competing for the division in 2 more months here, I'm going to be extremely disappointed. And I would be beyond flabbergasted if Chris Getz isn't the executive of the year based on what he's done.
I think that's almost a given. There is one thing that concerns me, but before we get to that, Moose Vinyl is an application for record collectors to manage their record collections. Buy and sell. It's available on iPhone, coming to Android very soon. It is a newer, streamlined app designed for collectors that allows importing CSV files from other platforms like it that came before that aren't as good, so you can manage your collection and just move everything over, and it's already being praised for having the best user interface around. Now Moose Vinyl has a brick and mortar record store for you to experience. Visit B-Sides by Moose Vinyl in downtown Lamont, 238 Main Street. They are selling turntables and vintage audio equipment at a discount through July. And go get that app. I've become a record collector over the last couple of years, and the Moose Vinyl app is amazing. It's just the thing to have on your phone if you have the iPhone. And again, I really hope it gets to Android soon, because you're missing out with the Android with Moose Vinyl. Check that out. Okay, I have one concern. I have a monster under the bed.
Let me guess. Let me guess who your concern is.
Yeah, what's my concern?
Is it the dragon hoarding the gold in the lair at 35th and Shields?
Yes, that's what my concern is.
The one that smokes cigars?
Yes, that's what my concern is. The evil owner. Okay?
Yeah.
And who the evil owner lets stay around him. A Future Sox had an interview recently with somebody who had a source that there's somebody very, very close to the owner who's in the building who doesn't like Rock Chalowski or doesn't want them to pick him or has somebody else that they want. And yet,
does this guy have a penchant for falling asleep in the dugout?
Possibly. Okay. I don't know. There's no confirmation of who it is, but I mean, let's think about this. You have a front office where the general manager walked in and said, we're going to do things completely different. I'm going to bring in guys from organizations that know how to work with low budgets, like Tampa Bay. I'm going to grab guys like Brian Bannister. And I'm going to grab, I've got guys from Arizona. I've got guys from Baltimore. I'm bringing in guys who think differently. We're going to redo how we do everything, from our scouting to how we bring guys up, how we develop guys. We're going to make AAA like a shadow of what Major League Baseball is, so they know exactly what they're getting to. Even in spring training, I just saw an interview recently. I think it was Colson Montgomery. And he was talking about the idea that the White Sox make sure that it's not the AAA guys here and the Major League guys here. So when guys get up there, they all know each other's names already, and they consider themselves to already be part of the team, even though they haven't been there for the last couple of months. Like, everything has been done completely differently than the old guard. But in the building, you have a man that throws around nickels like they're manhole covers and continuously has bad ideas. I mean, for the money he has and the over 4 decades that he had the team, the fact that the only time they ever won a playoff series was during the one time that they ever won a championship, that says a lot. And I'm not going to get into that because it's not an hour show, it's a half-hour show. But my biggest fear is Tony La Russa in the building. My biggest fear is you've got a guy who's from the old school, who may not understand all the things these guys are doing, and is going to start being somebody in the ear of an owner who should just shut up, get out of the way, and be happy that the in-house hire that he made, he was lucky enough that guy knew who he was, knew he had to clean house, and brought in the right people. People who, again, I'm telling you, other front offices are going to be looking to poach because of the way that this team is going, and you want them to stay, and you're going to make it harder to keep them around when they have to worry about an old man walking down the hallway like Tony, rattling on about how it was 20 years ago, and getting in the way of what they want to do. This front office should get to pick the guy they want, and the owner should have no say in it. In fact, the owner should be thankful that he's not going to go out either dying, which is going to happen probably within the next decade, or selling his team, that he's not going to go out with a crappy team. The way that this team is built, not only are they going to be good this year, they're going to be good for the foreseeable future. He may get another title before he leaves. As long as he doesn't get in the way. He needs to be smart enough to sit in his office, tell stories with Tony, but ultimately tell Chris Getz, you're the GM, it's your choice. He's just an advisor. And my fear is he's going to make a mistake and not do that. Because remember, I'm going to tell you something, this has happened before inside that building. The White Sox won a World Series. And the guy you see on the pre and the post game in Ozagian was the manager. And the guy who used to be the general manager that was part of just an awful decade or so afterwards with him and Rick Hahn, where they made so many mistakes. Those two guys started to argue over who was responsible for that team. The thing where Ozzie was able to go to Kenny and say, I want to get this kind of player. Maybe we can move on from Carlos Lee and get some speed up there in Scott Pasenik and all that stuff like that. It all started to fall apart. And those of us that were around long enough know that the owner didn't do anything to stop it. And so the worst thing in the world would be, once again, you got people after this team gets good trying to take credit for it. Going to Bob Nightingale and saying, well, I know what's really going on. Let Chris Getz, who should be the executive of the year if everything holds up this year, let him run his organization, run his front office, and get out of the way. Wave your little hat. Take credit at the end. Nobody cares. But behind closed doors, get out of the way. That's the one thing that scares me. I am so happy about all this stuff, but man, I'm a White Sox fan. There's always a monster under the bed. That's the monster. Man, I ended that on a downer. I didn't want to do that.
You really did. This is a good thing. We should be happy.
That's the White Sox fan in me. I'm sure I'm not the only one that's got that monster under their bed right now. Let's just enjoy the team and hope that that monster isn't going to rear its ugly head. That music means the Sox nerd, Dave Marin, is on the line with his trivia nuggets and tidbits, and I can almost guarantee something on Braden Montgomery, and he's brought to you by the Village of Lamont. Want to experience the downtown with real history, great eats and drinks, and green spaces filled with adventure? Visit the Village of Lamont. Shop, dine, drink, explore. I'm going to a whiskey fest there this weekend. There's a lot of fun going on in Lamont. Check it out at lamontdowntown.com. Nerd, what do you got for me?
Where were you when Braden Montgomery walked off the Braves? Hopefully that moment, which lifted the White Sox to an improbable win over the juggernaut Braves, is destined to become one of those events cemented in White Sox history, like Paulie's slam, or Burley's perfecto, or Wise's catch, or Uribe's dive into the stands, or Podsednik's walk-off. Speaking of that, my reaction to Scotty Pods' Game 2 walk-off winner mirrored my reaction to Braden's blast. Before exploding in celebration, I stood frozen in disbelief. A walk-off in both situations was the last thing on my mind. After all, Podsednik had hit no homers in the regular season, and really, asking Braden to do what he did was just too much. But it turned out it wasn't, and it was amazing. And now we hope this is a legendary moment, a springboard to greatness for team and player, and not a one-hit wonder like the Yerminator and his spurt, Joe Borchard and his 500-foot blast, or Philip Humber and his perfecto. More on Braden, he was just the fifth player in Major League history to hit a walk-off homer in a big league debut. The others? The Angels' Carlos Perez in 2015, Florida's Miguel Cabrera in 2003, Cleveland's Josh Bard in 2002, and California's Billy Parker in 1971. Fun fact, Len Casper also called Cabrera's walk-off when he was a broadcaster for the Marlins. In addition, Montgomery, who hit his in the 10th, and Cabrera, who hit his in the 11th, are the only players to debut with a walk-off homer in extra innings. Montgomery's 3 RBIs in that game tied the Sox debut record, first set by Lee Tannehill in 1903 and tied by Miguel Olivo in 2002. Even before his heroics, Montgomery's debut sparked some really good convo on social media, started by our own Chris Lanuti. Dan Evans, yes, that Dan Evans, Las Comiskey, Marty Maziak, and Bears Stradamus chimed in on memorable Sox debuts, and we had a full-blown discussion going. I decided to highlight some memorable premieres on the scoreboard the night after Braden's bomb as part of my Sox Notes feature. One that I highlighted may be hard to top even though it was not an MLB debut. In his first Sox start and second MLB start, Wilson Alvarez fired a no-hitter in Baltimore on August 11th, 1991. As far as Major League debuts go for the Sox, Russ Morman's 2-hit inning in 1986 and Craig Wilson's 2-double homer performance in 1998 were elite. And then there's Ron Karkovice. Summoned from AAA Buffalo, he arrived just in time to start the Sox win over Milwaukee on August 17, 1986, where he caught Steve Carlton's 5,000th inning and first American League win. Wearing number 53, Karko threw in a single for good measure. Before I get to my stumper answer and zinger, I remind you that gems like these and more can be found on my WordPress blog, which you can find at soxinthebasement.com, and I'm also on X, Threads, Facebook, and Instagram. My stumper answer, I asked who the Sox all-time leader in wins was during the 1980s, and it is Richard Dotson. My zinger, Braden Montgomery made it 12 MLB debuts for the Sox this season, which is the most in the AL before an All-Star break since 1944. We are also at 47 players this season, further threatening the team record of 63 set in 2024. That's it, men. Probably more than you wanted to know about debuts, walk-offs, and Karko.
Sox in the basement. Sox in the basement. Sox in the basement.
Sox in the Basement. Heard everywhere podcasts can be found, and always on soxinthebasement.com.